Did you know that 90% of people who try to overcome an addiction on their own fail within the first few weeks? Did you also know that the brain of someone with an addiction can take up to 2 years to return to normal? Breaking free from an addiction is one of the hardest things there is, because addiction is not something simple to deal with. Addiction can arise from many different factors: environmental, family, psychological, emotional, spiritual, and the list goes on. However, there is an approach that combines Eastern wisdom with behavioral neuroscience, which can help you deal with your addictions as a path to overcoming them. But understand one thing: the path to overcoming addiction is arduous, long, and painful. In this video, I'll explain the neuroscience of addiction and give you practical actions that can help you overcome it. But this video does not replace the guidance of a professional, so seek help. Find a community that can help and support you on this journey. The story you're about to hear today isn't about willpower. It's not about just saying no. It's about rebirth. It's about dying to one version of yourself and returning to life as someone else. The Japanese call this Kishi Kaisei, literally rising from the dead and returning to life. When we combine this concept with other concepts we've already discussed on this channel, such as Kaizen and Ikigai, and also with some concepts from behavioral neuroscience, we can have a manual that helps us overcome any addiction. But I'll make it clear once again, the concepts I'm going to present can help you, but they are not a magic or secret method. The path is long, but you are capable of reaching the end. Before continuing, I want to say that this video was inspired by an idea from a subscriber of the channel who commented on my other video about overcoming bad habits. She asked me to create another video about overcoming addictions, but focused on drug addiction in general, which is why I'm bringing you this content. So if you're watching this video, I hope you're doing well and can overcome all your inner demons. Never give up fighting for yourselves. In this video, I'm going to focus on how to overcome drug addiction in general, but what I'll show here can be used to overcome any addiction and can be used to build any habit. Now back to the video. Chapter 1. Amelia's Remaining. Amelia was 23 years old when everything fell apart. She was always that bright girl at school. You know, the kind of person who seems destined for great things? That's her. She wanted to study architecture. She dreamed of designing sustainable houses. She wanted to get married, have children, build a life that made sense. But Amelia's life had cracks that no one saw. Since she was 14, she carried traumas that were never addressed. An absent father who became an alcoholic. A mother who worked so much she barely had time to breathe. And that feeling, that horrible feeling of never being good enough, of always feeling like something was missing inside. At 19 in college, someone offered her something that, in quotes, would help with stress. That's how it started. First, she used it recreationally. Then, she started using it every week. Then, every day. And look, Amelia wasn't stupid. She knew she was destroying herself. She saw her grades plummeting. She saw her friends drifting away. She saw the disappointment in her mother's eyes. But here's what most people don't understand about addiction. It's not a simple choice. Not when your brain has been completely hijacked. Let me explain what was going on inside Amelia's head. Every human being has a system in the brain called the reward system. It's a primitive evolutionary circuit that releases a chemical called dopamine when you do something good for your survival. Eating, having relationships, socializing. Do you know what drugs do? Drugs hack this system. Cocaine, for example, can release 10 times more dopamine than any natural pleasure. It's like taking the pleasure button in your brain and pressing it with maximum force, all the time. And the brain isn't stupid. The brain senses that something is wrong. So what does the brain do? It reduces dopamine receptors. It produces less natural dopamine. Basically, the brain adapts, and what is the result? The person needs increasingly larger doses to feel the same effect, and when the person doesn't use the drug, the brain goes into panic, withdrawal, anxiety, deep depression, real physical pain. But there's more. The region of the brain responsible for control, judgment, and decision-making, the prefrontal cortex, becomes compromised. That's why addicted people know they are destroying themselves, but they continue. Their free will has been hijacked. Amelia was imprisoned and she knew it. It was on a Tuesday morning that Amelia woke up and could no longer look at herself in the mirror. She had lost 12 kilos. She had been fired from her internship. Her mother had cried the night before, asking, "What happened to you?" And at that moment, Amelia had a terrifying realization. Either she sought help now or she was going to die. Simple as that. She called a support center. They referred her to a therapist. His name? Dr. Kenji Yamamoto. Chapter 2. The Conversation with Kenji. Dr. Kenji was no ordinary therapist. He was 58 years old, of Japanese descent, a man with calm gestures and eyes that seemed to see right through you. He had a degree in psychology, a specialization in neuroscience, but there was something different about him. He combined all of this with Eastern philosophies he learned from his grandfather in Japan, concepts like Kishi Kaisei, Kaizen, Ikigai. And he also had a spiritual approach. Kenji was a Christian and believed that true healing involves body, mind, and soul. When Amelia first entered his office, she was trembling, sunken eyes, restless hands. Dr. Kenji simply smiled slightly and said, "Sit down. Let's start by listening to your story. No judgment, no rush." Dr. Kenji listened for 2 hours. He heard about her father, about the loneliness, about that feeling of emptiness that Amelia had carried since childhood, about how drugs filled that void, temporarily. He asked few questions, but when he did, they were spot on. When do you feel most alone? What were you trying not to feel when you first used it? If you could go back in time and talk to 14-year-old Amelia, what would you say to her? At the end of the session, Dr. Kenji took a deep breath and said, "Amelia, I need you to understand something before we continue. What you're facing isn't weakness. It's not a lack of character. It's a complex medical condition involving your brain, your emotions, your history, and your soul. And yes, it's possible to overcome it, but not in the way you're trying." Amelia looked at Kenji, confused. "What do you mean? You're trying to use willpower against a biological machine that's been reprogrammed. That doesn't work. What we're going to do is different. We're going to rebuild you, from scratch. The Japanese have a name for that." He wrote some ideograms on the whiteboard. "Kishi Kaisei, rising from death and returning to life. You won't just stop using, you will die to who you were and be reborn as who you were always meant to be." Chapter 3. Science and Philosophy. In the second session, Dr. Kenji brought a model of the human brain. "Let me show you exactly what's going on in here," he said, pointing to the frontal region. "This part here is your prefrontal cortex. It's the CEO of your brain. The prefrontal cortex makes decisions, controls impulses, thinks about the future." Kenji moved his finger to the inner part. "And down here is your reward system. It's your primitive brain. This part doesn't think. This part just wants to survive and feel pleasure. When you use drugs repeatedly, 2 things happen. First, the reward system becomes hypersensitive. It learns that the drug equals intense pleasure. Second, the CEO, the prefrontal cortex, weakens. This way, it can no longer control impulses." Amelia's eyes widened. "So that's why I know I shouldn't use it, but I use it anyway?" "Exactly. Your rational knowledge is intact, but your executive control is compromised. It's like driving a car with bad brakes downhill." The doctor leaned forward. "But here's the good news. The brain has neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity gives the brain the ability to rewire itself. It can heal, but it needs time, strategy, and support." Dr. Kenji picked up an empty glass from the table. "Amelia, all the addicts I've treated have something in common. They all have this inside themselves," he said, pointing to the empty glass. "An emptiness, a hole. It could be from unhealed trauma. It could be from a lack of purpose. It could be from not feeling loved. It could be from not knowing who you are. And you know what you did? You tried to fill that cup with drugs." The doctor picked up a bottle of water and began pouring it into the glass. But the glass had a hole in the bottom. The water leaked out. "See? No matter how much you put in, it will never fill up. Because the problem isn't the quantity, it's the hole." Amelia felt a lump in her throat. "So what do I do?" "You fix the hole, and then you fill the cup with real things. Purpose, connection, meaning, faith, self-love." The Japanese call this Ikigai, your reason for living. The doctor paused. But there's an even deeper part. I'm a Christian, Amelia, and I believe that this emptiness you feel can only be fully filled by something greater than yourself, by God. Have you considered that part of your emptiness is spiritual? Amelia had never thought about it that way before. The practical plan. Kishi Kaisei plus Kaizen plus Ikigai. In the third session, Dr. Kenji drew 3 overlapping circles on a piece of paper. This is the plan. 3 pillars. First circle, Kishi Kaisei, the rebirth. You need to accept that the addicted Amelia will die, and that's okay, because in her place a new Amelia will be born, stronger, wiser, more whole. This is not a defeat, it's a transformation. Second circle, Kaizen, continuous improvement. Kaizen means improving 1% every day. You won't wake up tomorrow cured. You'll wake up tomorrow 1% better, and the day after tomorrow another 1%, and in a year, you'll be many times better than you are today. That's Kaizen. Third circle, Ikigai, reason for living. And finally, you need to find your Ikigai. Ikigai can be applied to 2 things. Finding your mission, that is the work you can do for society. What do you love? What does the world need? What are you good at? What sustains you financially? The answer in the middle of all this could be your mission. However, Ikigai also speaks to a greater purpose which goes beyond work, and that's the most important thing. So what is your purpose? It doesn't have to be something super complex, it can be something simple, like being a good daughter or a good mother. Without your Ikigai, any setback will bring you down. The doctor closed the paper. And all of this sustained by your faith. Because in the end, Amelia, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. Chapter 4. Amelia's Journey. The first 30 days were hell on earth. Amelia entered a detoxification program. Tremors, cold sweats, nausea, insomnia, anxiety that felt like it was tearing her apart from the inside. But Dr. Kenji was there. Every week, sometimes twice a week. He taught cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. When the desire comes, you won't fight it. You'll observe it. Look, the desire has arrived. Interesting. I'll just watch it pass, like a wave. Emotions are temporary. You are not. The doctor also connected her with a support group at a local church. At first, Amelia was skeptical. But when she saw other people who had lost everything and rebuilt their lives, something inside her changed. She started going to church services. She started praying. And for the first time, she felt she wasn't alone. That there was something greater sustaining her. Kaizen in action. In the second month, Dr. Kenji gave them a task. Every day I want you to do 3 things. 1 thing for your body, 1 thing for your mind, 1 thing for your soul. Body. Amelia started walking for 20 minutes every day. Those 20 minutes turned into 30. Then the simple walk became a run. That's Kaizen, 1% better every day. Mind. Amelia started reading again. At first, Amelia read self-help books. Then she began reading books about architecture, her old dream. After that, she moved on to reading classic literature. But before getting to the classics, Amelia started by reading simple self-help books. That's also Kaizen. Soul. She prayed every morning. She wrote in a gratitude journal. She served in the church's support group helping other beginners. Every day, 1% better. Did she relapse? Yes. In the 8th week, Amelia used it again. She was devastated. But Dr. Kenji said something that changed everything. Relapse is not failure. It's part of the process. The important thing is not to never fall. It's to get up more times than you fall. That's Kishi Kaisei. Finding the Ikigai. In the 4th month, something clicked. Amelia was helping with a community construction project organized by the church, and suddenly she was sketching, giving ideas, thinking about sustainable designs, and she realized, I still love this. I still want this. Dr. Kenji smiled when Amelia told him this and said, You found your Ikigai. Amelia re-enrolled in college. She dropped courses she had failed. She started from scratch in some... She got a part-time job at an architecture firm, just making coffee and organizing files. But she was there, in the right environment, learning. A year and a half after the first session, Amelia was unrecognizable. She had graduated. She landed a job as a junior architect. She was designing a house for a low-income family, volunteer work. She was the leader of a support group. She helped other women who were where she had once been. And then at an event she met Daniel, a history professor, kind, patient, someone who also had his own battles and scars. 2 years later, the two got married. At her last session with Dr. Kenji, Amelia brought photos from her wedding. "I never thought this would be possible," she said with tears in her eyes. "I was dead, and you helped me come back to life." Dr. Kenji shook his head. "No, Amelia, I only showed you the way. You were the one who walked it, you were the one who died and was reborn. That is Kishi Kaisei, and you succeeded." Chapter 5. The Science Behind It All. Neuroplasticity studies show that the brain can fully rewire itself after addiction, but it takes time. Between 90 days and 2 years, depending on the severity. Research on cognitive behavioral therapy proves that observing emotions without reacting to them reduces the strength of compulsive desires. The technique of observing emotions, thoughts, and physical sensations without judgment and without automatic reaction is known as cognitive decentering or mindfulness. And studies on life purpose, what the Japanese call Ikigai, show that people with a clear sense of purpose have lower relapse rates. Even spirituality. Studies show that people who participate in religious communities have a more lasting recovery from addictions. So it's not magic, it's not luck, it's science meeting ancient wisdom. But here's something almost no one talks about. Most people who overcome addictions don't do it by stopping using. These people do this, becoming another person. Not just abandoning the addiction, but building a life so good, so full of purpose and meaning, that the addiction simply no longer has a place in that person's life. Think about it. You don't conquer darkness by fighting it, you light a light. And perhaps that's the most powerful lesson of Kishi Kaisei. You don't just have to survive, you can be reborn. Chapter 6. Steps to Overcome Addictions. Now I'm going to show you the concrete steps so you can overcome addictions or build habits. Remember once again that what I'm going to talk about here isn't magic. It's something that needs to be applied every day for it to work. First step, Ikigai, find your reason for living. What to do in practice? Grab a pen and paper and answer these 4 questions. What do you love to do? Your passions. What are you good at doing? Your talents. What does the world need? Issues that move you. What can you be paid for? Financial support. The intersection of these 4 answers is your Ikigai in a professional sense. However, remember that what's most important is your Ikigai in the sense that goes beyond your work. It's the reason why you do what you do. Start small. Dedicate 15 minutes a day to doing something related to your Ikigai. Ask yourself every morning, what do I do today that has meaning? Second step, Kaizen, continuous improvement of 1%. How to apply? Do not attempt radical changes all at once. The brain resists. Choose 3 daily micro-habits. 1. For the body, for example, 10 minutes of walking. 1 for the mind, for example, reading 5 pages of a book. 1 for the soul, for example, 5 minutes of prayer or meditation. Track your progress. Mark an X on the calendar each day you accomplish it and celebrate small victories. The brain needs positive reinforcement. Remember, 1% better every day. Third step, neuroscience techniques to overcome the desire. First, do the observation without judgment, mindfulness. When the urge comes, don't fight it. In other words, don't force yourself not to think about it. The more you try not to think about something, the more you think about what you're trying not to think about. If I tell you, don't think about a pink elephant, you'll probably start thinking about a pink elephant. Say to yourself, look, the wish has arrived. Interesting. Observe what the desire is like. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts does it bring? Imagine desire as a wave. The wave rises, reaches its peak, and always falls. Cravings last on average 15 to 30 minutes. If you don't react, they pass. Second, use the 10-minute technique. When the urge to use it comes, say, I'll wait 10 minutes. Do anything else during those 10 minutes. Call someone, leave the room, take a cold shower. Often, desire fades during that interval. If it doesn't pass, wait another 10 minutes. You are training your prefrontal cortex. Third, learn also to surf the wave of desire. This is a technique created by behavioral psychologists. Visualize your desire as a wave of the ocean. You're a surfer. You don't fight the wave, but you don't drown either. Take a deep breath. Observe the intensity rising and falling. Practice this repeatedly, and your brain learns that it can survive the craving. Fourth step, environmental engineering. This is crucial. First, eliminate physical triggers. Throw away everything related to the addiction, paraphernalia, contacts, reminders. Delete supplier phone numbers. Uninstall apps that facilitate access. Change your routes. Avoid places associated with drug use. Second, restructure your space. Make healthy behaviors. Easy. Leave your sneakers by the door, your book on the bedside table. Make the addiction difficult. Create barriers, increase friction, for example. If you want to stop eating sweets, don't buy sweets to keep at home. Make it as difficult as possible to access them. Fill your home with visual reminders of your goals. Photos, quotes. Third, controlling exposure to social triggers. Temporarily distance yourself from people who still use it, however difficult that may be. Join support groups, NA, AA, church groups. Communicate your situation to trusted people who can help you. Fourth point, the golden rule. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If you put a disciplined person in a toxic environment, the environment wins. So shape your environment. Your environment is everything that surrounds you. The people around you, the things you own, your social media, your neighborhood, and so on. So if you live in a neighborhood where access to drugs is very easy, if you can, move from that neighborhood. It's for your own good. If you associate with people who encourage you to use drugs, stop associating with them. If your social media triggers you to use drugs, deactivate or unfollow people who encourage you to continue with the addiction. Your well-being is more important. Fifth step, sleep, the basis of everything. Why is sleep essential? Sleep deprivation reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex. Your self-control disappears. Sleep deprivation also increases activity in the amygdala, the stress-anxiety center. Furthermore, sleep-deprived brains have 3 times the cravings for substances. What to do? Sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. That's non-negotiable. This video is different from the videos where I talk about studying, entrepreneurship, and things like that. If your focus is on overcoming an addiction as serious as drug addiction, you need to prioritize your sleep. If it's very difficult for you to sleep 9 or 8 hours, try to sleep as much as you can, but always focusing not only on the quantity of hours slept, but also on the quality of your sleep. Try to always keep the same sleep and wake times, even on weekends. Keep your room dark, cool, and quiet. Don't use screens 1 hour before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin. You can even buy blue light blocking glasses if you work in front of a screen and can't avoid them at night, which is my case. I have a pair of those glasses that help me avoid the light from screens. If you have withdrawal symptoms, talk to your doctor about temporary support. Also create your nighttime rituals, a warm bath, chamomile tea, light reading. These rituals are important for your body to understand that it's time to rest. However, the morning ritual is also very important. Understand that your sleep begins in the morning when you wake up. When you wake up, expose yourself to sunlight and avoid caffeine after 3 p.m. Sixth step, physical exercise, the natural remedy. Why it works? It releases dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin naturally. It rebuilds dopamine receptors damaged by addiction, reduces anxiety and depression by 40 to 50%, improves sleep quality. Doing 30 minutes of exercise can be as effective as an initial dose of antidepressants. How to start exercising? You don't need to start at the gym. Walking already works. Start with 10-15 minutes a day and gradually increase the time. Choose something you enjoy: dancing, swimming, cycling, boxing. Morning exercise is ideal because it regulates the circadian rhythm. Exercising in the morning can also be advantageous because your body and mind are rested, preventing you from making excuses not to exercise. But if you can't exercise in the morning, exercise at another time, but don't stop exercising. Do it right after waking up, or when you feel the strongest urge. It replaces behavior. Golden tip: outdoor exercise plus exposure to sunlight generates an even greater effect on dopamine recovery. 7th step: nutrition, fuel for the brain. Foods that aid in brain recovery. First, proteins. You can find it in eggs, fish, chicken, and meats in general. Omega-3 salmon, sardines, walnuts regenerate brain cells. Dark green vegetables, spinach, broccoli. Magnesium reduces anxiety. Red fruits antioxidants protect neurons. Dark chocolate 70%. It naturally increases dopamine, but eat in moderation. What to avoid? Refined sugar, because it causes peaks and troughs that increase cravings. Excessive caffeine can worsen anxiety. Ultra-processed foods because they inflame the brain. Alcohol. Even if your addiction isn't alcohol, it reduces self-control. Don't get me wrong, you can have a sweet treat once in a while, have a snack now and then, but always strive for moderation, without excesses. Hydration. Dehydration reduces cognitive function, so drink at least 3 liters of water a day. 8th step: emotional regulation techniques. Breathing 4-7-8. This is for acute anxiety. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold your breath, counting to 7. Exhale through your mouth, counting to 8. Repeat this 4 times. This technique activates the parasympathetic nervous system, helps to calm down. Journaling, therapeutic diary. Write 3 pages by hand every morning. Don't use screens or typing, write manually. Don't censor your feelings, let them flow. Identify emotional triggers. Record daily victories, no matter how small. 5-minute mindfulness session. Sit comfortably. Focus on your breathing. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to focus. Practice daily. This strengthens the prefrontal cortex. There are several guided meditations here on YouTube. 9th step: support network. Build your team. 1 therapist specializing in addictions. 1 support group, NA, AA, or religious groups. 3 trusted people that you can call anytime. 1 mentor, someone who has already overcome what you are facing. Emergency rule: list 5 people you can call in a crisis. It could be your mother, your father, an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, a friend, anyone you trust. Have numbers on the speed dial. When a strong craving comes, call before using it, not after. 10th step: spiritual dimension. Why it matters? Studies show that spirituality increases the rate of lasting recovery. It fills the existential void that drugs attempted to fill, and a religious community offers belonging and purpose. 11th step: relapse management. If you relapse, and many do the following. Acknowledge it immediately without denial. Call your therapist or support group. Get back on track with the plan on the same day. Analysis. What was the trigger? What can you do differently? Practice self-compassion. I am human. I am learning. What do not do? If you punish yourself with paralyzing guilt, thinking, I've already ruined everything, it doesn't matter what happens. Hiding from your support network. Giving up on the process. Remember, relapse is not failure, it's part of the process. Adjust and keep going. 12th step: progress tracking. Utilize practical tools. There is an app. I Am Sober, where you count your clean days, but you can use a physical calendar. Mark X on the winning days. Also, keep a trigger journal. Record patterns of things that triggered you. Take weekly photos. See physical changes. Also, keep a list of reasons to stay clean. Reread it daily. Also, have marches to celebrate. 24-hour clean, 1 week, 1 month, 90 days, which is the neurological turning point. 6 months, 1 more. Every milestone deserves recognition. Here is the summary protocol for the first 90 days. Do day 1 to day 7, survival, detoxification, if necessary under medical supervision. Eliminate all physical triggers. Join a support group, sleep as much as possible. Stay hydrated. Do day 8 to day 30. Stabilization. Establish a routine rigid, waking up, sleeping, eating at the same times. Start with light daily exercise. Practice the surfing the wave technique whenever the desire arises. Participate in support meetings at least 3 times a week. Do days 31 to 90. Reconstruction. Implement Kaizen, 3 daily micro-habits. Work on your Ikigai. Strengthen the spiritual dimension. Consider changing your environment if possible, a new house or even a new city, if this significantly interferes with your treatment. Start a meaningful project, course, volunteering, hobby. Here is a hard truth. Overcoming an addiction is one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life, but it's also one of the most important. You're not just stopping using something, you're saving your own life. You're giving your dreams a chance. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. Yes, it can be done. Millions have already done it. You could be next. Not tomorrow, not on Monday. Now, rise up. Be reborn. Live. So what did you learn today? Addictions are not moral failings. They are neurological hijackings. Willpower alone isn't enough. You need strategy, support, and a complete rebuild. Philosophies like Kishi Kaisei, Kaizen, and Ikigai are not just beautiful concepts. They are practical maps for real transformation. True healing involves body, mind, and soul, neuroscience, therapy, and spirituality together. And no matter how low you've fallen, it's always possible to be reborn. Amelia's story is a pattern. It happens every day around the world, with people who decide they're tired, who decide to seek help, who decide to die to who they were and live as who they can be. So if you're struggling with an addiction right now, or know someone who is, I want you to remember this. You are not alone. You are not doomed. And the next chapter of your life could be the best one. Kishi Kaisei, rise from the dead, return to life. You don't have to go through this alone. And remember, be present, walk with honor, follow the path. See you in the next video.